Good evening, everybody, and welcome to York Lions Stadium in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. This is Match Day 9 in MLS Next Pro as Toronto FC 2 take on Chicago Fire FC 2 north of the border in Toronto this evening. Sean St. Jacques here with you. Happy to be with you for this one as we take a look at the Eastern Conference standings here on MLSnextPro.com. TFC 2 looking for 3 big points that can help them get out of 13th place in the Eastern Conference. 3 points for Chicago tonight could move them up quite a few spots in the Eastern Conference and get them closer to the playoff chase and chase down some of the top teams in the Eastern Conference. And 3 points could certainly do the trick there. TFC 2 are looking for their first victory since May 7th. They're starting to click in the attack. Can they get it going defensively and be stalwart and stingy at the back against a Chicago team that is also very similar, very strong attacking unit, a midfield that's arguably one of the best in the East in MLS Next Pro? Can they find the balance that they need to get points on the board once more and end their long run of not picking up all 3 points since they got their first 2 wins of the campaign back in March? Let's take a look at the starting lineups for these 2 teams. We start with Johnny Cimini's group for TFC 2. It's a very strong attack. Julian Altobelli has had a very good season. Matthew Cadavolo scored on the last match day for TFC 2. He'll look to add on to that. But Jesus Batiz is starting to turn heads at the back for Coach Cimini's group. Can he continue his very good run? He also scored against New England Revolution 2 on the last match day. We'll see if he can continue his very good vein of form for the host tonight. For Chicago, under Ludovic Taillandier, it's a very strong midfield. Gerardo Osorio has 2 goals in his last 2 matches, 3 assists this season for the always very fun to watch Luca Perpa. Charlie Ostrom scored on the last match day for Chicago against TFC 2, and Omari Glasgow is one of the best young talents in the league, hoping to feed the likes of Michael Nessie and Billy Hensey up front for Chicago, who have both been on the mark this season in attack for Chicago Fire FC 2. Moments away from starting this one, Mario Alassi is our center official this evening in Toronto, and it will be Chicago in their whites who will be kicking us off from left to right here on MLSnextPro.com. TFC 2 are in their reds with the white trim, and again we just await the referee's whistle. Second meeting this season between these 2 Eastern Conference foes. Last time Chicago got a win this season, it came at Toronto's expense. They're hoping to repeat the trick again tonight to get back to winning ways and end their long unbeaten run. We are off and running here from York Lions Stadium in Toronto, Ontario. Chicago controls here on MLSnextPro.com, and they are kicking from left to right. Sean St. Jacques happy to be with you. Opportunity knocks for these 2 teams, especially for Toronto. A win for them could possibly help get them out of the basement in the Eastern Conference. Chicago Fire FC 2, 3 points would do them the world of good, not only to end their long run without a win, but also potentially move them up multiple spots in the Eastern Conference standings. Good early pressure from Billy Hensey. Omari Glasgow's having a very good season for Chicago, although it's a miscued pass there, and an early throw-in for Toronto on the near side. Mario Ayas is our center official. We hear his whistle there. It's a foul. It's a free kick. And it's going to go the way of the Canadian side here. Last time these 2 met, it was back on March 31st, match day 2 of this 2023 MLS Next Pro campaign. Chicago won by 2-0. Charlie Ostrom scored. Eric Leonard, who's on the bench tonight for Chicago, scored as well. It's actually the only time that those 2 have scored this season came against Toronto in that 2-0 victory. Since then, Chicago has not picked up a win. They've picked up quite a few draws. Chicago's actually on a 3-match kicks from the mark losing streak at the moment. They've been putting some points on the board, but only one at a time as of late under coach Ludovic Taillandier. A chance once again to catch up with Coach Ludo this week. Again, just talked about how close they feel to being able to put 3 points on the board consistently. It's been a blessing to coach these guys. It's a very good group. It's a very talented group. Of course, we've seen that firsthand throughout this next pro season. But can they turn draws into wins? That's really been the question mark surrounding Chicago these last few weeks. On the other side of the coin for Toronto, a really tough loss against Revs 2. Last time out, they had a 2-0 lead. Cadavolo and Batiz were both on the score sheet. But towards the end of the first half, Clint Pierre's side got back into the game, ended up coming all the way back and winning it by 3-2. Game that Gianni Cimini and his media availability, you could just tell, felt like it was one that got away, and as well as they played through a good majority of the match, there was individual mistakes defensively, not always stepping in to get the correct tackles in, to get in transition and stop the Revs 2 attacks, and it ended up costing them in the end. Toronto hasn't won since May 7th. It was a convincing win, 3-0 over FC Cincinnati 2. It's their only win so far this season. Try to change that tonight. Jordan Faria is on it for Toronto here. Zimmermansik is in support. This is where Toronto are hoping to really do some damage against Chicago, whether it's in transition or breaking them down like this. Good step defensively from Glasgow, just in front of his coach, Ludwig Tayondier's technical area, and it's a Toronto throw. Just one win and one draw for Toronto so far this season. And just the 4 points. They did lose the kicks from the mark that they did take part in earlier this season. And all time, Toronto in the 4 previous meetings against Chicago has just the 1 win. So Chicago has dominated this series head-to-head in the year plus of Next Pro we've seen. That's a lovely ball in behind. Chicago could have a chance here. Hensey's through the middle. Glasgow's on the back end, and he flashes it across the face of goal, but can't put it on target. That is what Chicago can do. They tend to get off to quick starts, and they nearly created a golden opportunity there. Hensey was just a step too far behind the initial cross, and Omari Glasgow did ever so well to put it back into a dangerous area, but couldn't find a teammate, and then again the attack breaks down on the second try. This is a lovely ball through the middle here on the replay. Hensey just can't quite get onto it, and how unlucky is Glasgow there. Puts it right where you're told to put it. Didn't get the touch required. Reynolds picks off the pass here, and TFC2 are able to clean up their own mess on this near side. Chance to maybe break there. Noah Egan stepped in for Chicago, and Gianni Cimini in front of his own technical area sees Chicago win a throw that Reynolds gets right back into play. Really is going to be an interesting battle in the midfield tonight. Chicago arguably has as much talent as anybody in the league in the middle of the park. Just about finishing off the chances that they create. And to be fair, Coach Ludo talked to us about that and just said, listen, it's going to take some time, but we fully expect our guys to start putting away more of the chances that we're creating. They certainly have the talent to do so. Cadavolo scored on the last match day for Toronto. He's on the ball here. He's able to leave this off. And again, Toronto probing around the penalty area. It nearly fell for Altobelli. And Toronto will reset. Near side, Goulburn. Under pressure from Glasgow. That's going to be an interesting head-to-head matchup as well tonight individually between those two. Flag is up here against the hosts. Free kick for Chicago. Rochester's going to send it all the way back. Mihaljo Miskovic is in goal tonight for Chicago. Luka Gavran is the Toronto goalkeeper this evening. Two very good keepers between the posts tonight. See how often they get tested. So Soria wins it back for Chicago. He scored 2 goals in his last 2 appearances for the visitors. Good step in defensively by Anthony Churic. A But then Chicago win it back high up the field. This is what they like to do in transition. Lovely layoff. Chance for the opening goal. It's a lovely save. The rebound. He's sent out of play. It's a corner. Good last-ditch step there from Lucas Olguin. Defensively, here's the shot came in. Gavran does ever so well here down to his left on the first attempt. And then it's the academy product, Olguin, that gets a crucial touch there, although it is stopped for the free kick in the end. So Olguin's challenge wasn't necessary, but he wasn't to know that. Crucial challenge. Well, those are the tackles that Gianni Cimini wanted to see more of against New England. Getting a boot in, making a crucial challenge, whether it's in the midfield or around the penalty area, to stop big moments, and that's exactly what Olguin does there. In the end, the Chicago attack does break down. It's a free kick for Toronto. But again, Vic Tayondie's group showing you again what they can do when they win the ball back high up the field. They've done it once again. And the ball in behind for Glasgow is cut out. Goulburn, good step. And again, Chicago win the ball back. Toronto have not been able to put together a couple of passes after they win back possession, something else that Gianni Cimini was hoping to address in this game, but Glasgow's ball is hit too firmly, and it's out for a goal kick. Billy Hensey and Michael Nessie have had opportunities already to find the back of the net. Again, that midfield with Osorio, Purpa, throw Fleming the third in the mix as well. Charlie Ostrom, ton of talent. Some experience there from Ostrom in particular as well. Fleming the third, you could throw into that mix as well. This is Osorio. Almost deflected through. Goulburn is there to step. Osorio harries him. And Toronto deal with the Chicago pressure. Fleming the third does win it back. Glasgow poking it through. The third is forced back, and in the end, Toronto pick off the pass. Zimmermansik plays it forward. Can TFC2 counter here? Cadavolo. Still, Cadavolo leaves it for Altobelli. Altobelli's shot is saved by Miskovic. Lovely counterattacking from the hosts here. Cadavolo off the Zimmermansik ball, and then it's hit first time from Altobelli. Not able to beat the goalkeeper at his near post. Well, that's what Toronto are trying to do tonight against Chicago. Absorbing a little bit of pressure, but then counterattacking with swift effectiveness, and they nearly did so there. Meanwhile, lovely weaving run from Glasgow, but he is snuffed out. Challenge from Hensey. He's ruled to be a foul and a free kick. Hensey and Osorio are the joint leading goal scorers for Chicago this season. 2 goals apiece for those two. On the other side of things, it has been Baptiste that has been leading Toronto with 3 goals this season. Hugo Mbong as well has 3. More good interplay from Chicago here. It's whipped into the middle. In the end, another good touch from Olguin at the back. Cuts out the pass. Now Baptiste has Cadavolo in support. Good start to the game from Olguin, the academy product, as Chicago again try to win the ball back. Referee sees an infraction, a push in the back, and Toronto can re-establish possession. One of the things that Coach Ludo for Chicago talked to us about was the first meeting between these two back in March. We already mentioned it, March 31st, the 2-0 win for Chicago. And again, Chicago all time has done very well in this series. 3 wins out of 4, just the 1 defeat. But made it a point that Toronto's a team that tends to improve as the season goes on. Exactly what happened last year, to his point, as Hensey flashes it into the middle, easy enough for Gavran. Of course, Toronto was able to get into the playoff mix at the end of last season, made some noise in that regard after a slow start a year ago. When you go back to their USL League One days, you could make that claim as well. And this is a back pass, and Osorio is able to run onto it. Good challenge in the end from Churic. It was a mistake that led to the opportunity. Can't be offside on a deliberate pass back from an opposition player. Chicago get a corner off a Toronto miscue at the back here. Talked about how Toronto also changes styles to Coach Ludo. We'll see if that is a factor tonight, but for the time being, Chicago have a corner here. Ball is whipped into the back post. It's headed and deflected back out for a corner. Will be taken at the opposite end. First corner was taken by Luca Perpa, who Coach Tyondier called a joy to coach. So it's a blessing to coach these guys, and so the club believes these guys are the future. Talked about Osorio and Perpa in that regard. Second try at the corner is whipped in dangerously. Gavran didn't quite read that well, but in the end it flashes wide of the goal, and Toronto do win a free kick. Very dangerous ball played in here. And Luca Gavran, I think for a split second, realized that was going over his head. And in the end, Chicago foul him. From a Toronto point of view, very lucky that did not go on target. Would have been a very dangerous ball. When a ball goes in directly from a free kick, I believe it's called an Olympico. That nearly occurred there. It wasn't a million miles away from Osorio's cross. Glasgow kneeing it forward. And is sent down the line. Even Glasgow not brisk enough to chase, but it is brought back for a free kick. Biggest thing that Coach Cimini talked about this week, as far as the training, was being connected in possession. He said when we win the ball, we need to move up the field together as a unit. And that has been a little bit of a struggle in these first 15 minutes tonight. The few times that they've won the ball really deep, Chicago on at least 2 or 3 of those occasions have won the ball right back immediately and have nearly scored on 1 or 2 of those occasions. Was that a free kick? No, referee says play on. Egan with the challenge on Altabelli. Miskovic played that up the line. Progress is impeded. It's a free kick for Chicago here. Chicago this season has 2 wins. Only one of them has come on the road, which they're trying to do again here tonight. It was actually their first game of the season. They went to Inter Miami CF2 and won by 3-1. It's their only road win so far this year. They're trying to make it a second one tonight. They beat Toronto at home on match day 2. Glasgow for Chicago. Ball into the middle of the penalty area was deflected. Catavolo comes out with it for Toronto and wins a free kick. Last match day for Chicago, it was a 1-1 draw at home against Huntsville, who was playing their last of 7 straight road games. Of course, they had that historic opening night at Joe Davis Stadium. That was thrilling to watch in front of a sold-out crowd. They got the win. Ended the unbeaten run of Crown Legacy. Huntsville did pick up the 2 points. They won the kicks from the mark 4-1 in Bridgeview. That's where Chicago, at the moment, has just not been able to pick up the extra point. 3 straight kicks from the mark scenarios. They've lost all of them. One way to change that is picking up 3 points. Fleming the third in behind for Glasgow. It looked like Goulburn initially had done the job shielding there, but the assistant referee sees an infraction, and it is a Chicago free kick in a good position here. Now it's essentially a short corner for the visitors, and with the talent at Chicago's disposal here, there's plenty of options as to what they'll do. Luca Perpa has 3 assists this season. No goals, though, surprisingly, somewhat. The amount of action that he gets in the final third. Coach Ludo actually talked about how he's almost got a magnetic draw to the goal. Says he's attracted to it, always gets in the box, makes 60-yard runs just to get in position to score goals or create for others. He gets a chance to create here. Perpa actually goes for goal instead, and maybe wants that one back, too much on it, and he sends it soaring over the top of the goal. Had the right amount of bend on it, but too much velocity behind it. And more high pressure here that Toronto has to cope with, and they just about deal with it. 2 white shirts made that very, very difficult. Ball ended up out of play, but I think it's going to be brought back for a free kick. Referee briefly played advantage, none accumulated. TFC 2 restart. But that Chicago pressure is certainly making life difficult on the hosts. Montfort Rochester won that back. Toronto do well to clear their lines quickly. Can they counterattack? Not on this occasion. Egan steps in. Miskovic will reset the possession for the visitors. Reynolds is one part of Chicago's game that's improved as the season's gone on. They do tend to play rather well out of the back. Can this be a game where Toronto start to make a step in the right direction? Like Coach Ludo's talked about, like many that followed this league since its inception a year ago, Toronto's been a team that gets off to a slow start but then finds the magic as the season goes on. As the referee is having a quick word here with Altabelli and Egan, it appears. They were getting into it off the ball. Mario Al-Ayas just making sure that everyone stays calm, everyone continues to do their jobs, and it is a Toronto throw. Toronto will take it once more from the Chicago technical area. Goulburn's been a part of this outfit for quite a few years now and always makes a big impact. This is a lovely run into the penalty area. In the end, Faria goes down, but no appeals. Chicago can restart with Miskovic. Another look at it here. Lovely run from Faria. Did Reynolds throw him down there? Certainly there was an arm near the shoulder. To be fair, Toronto didn't really appeal it. We play on. This is nearly poked through. In the end, Toronto take no chances. Adam Perlman clears. Throw in for Chicago. I wonder if that was one of those scenarios where the arm might have been on the shoulder, but the contact was felt by Faria and he decided to go down, even though there might not have been enough in the contact. So tough to tell. Toronto try to clear their lines here. Two headers get it to the edge of the penalty area. Hensey and company putting some pressure on. It's one back again, high up the field. Cross goes into the middle, and Perpa is blocked. Hasn't scored this season for Chicago. He nearly did there. Crucial block in the middle. And it's out for a corner. That's another crucial step in. Stefanovic, the academy product for Toronto, makes a crucial challenge there. And Harold Osorio has a corner here upcoming for the visitors. Can Chicago find the breakthrough here? They've been coming very close. Egan can recycle this. Osorio whips it right back in. It's headed high into the air by Churic. Glasgow tries to keep it alive, as does Perpa. Chested down, Hensey, and then Osorio was in the area. It ricochets out for another throw. Charlie Ostrom as well was trying to make something happen there. Didn't quite come off, but Chicago keeps the pressure on here. Nessie shows for it. Reynolds. And then ends up being dispossessed. Toronto wins it back. Glasgow tries to recoup possession. Faria did well initially, but gives it back to Egan. Fleming the third. Ball is threaded through for Perpa. But Perpa doesn't have much time to work with. Dispossessed. Lovely little turn from Cadavolo. They get past Lamont Rochester. Cadavolo loses out in the end, tries to keep it alive. Chicago get enough behind the ball to regain possession. Here's Reynolds. Slicing ball through the middle. It's going to be a foul and a free kick against Anthony Churic. Chicago can continue to move in the right direction. One more note on Chicago. Again, we've already seen them again create chances, not being able to finish them. One extra thing that Coach Ludo talked about was that he'd be more concerned if they weren't creating the chances. Sometimes he says that's the most difficult thing. He says if we keep doing what we're doing, if we keep creating the chances, the goals are going to come. Although Amari Glasgow did follow through on that challenge. Stefanovic is still down here. Glasgow's, actually Reynolds is summoned here. He gets a talking to, beg your pardon. Free kick for TFC 2. Pressure from Nessie. Egan commits a foul. Free kick. And we'll see if Chicago can keep creating the chances and then take a few of them. That hasn't been the issue. They've been able, that lovely midfield grouping they have, led by Luca Perpa and Harold Osorio. They've created plenty of chances, and the stats have backed that up. But can they take them? Nessie is snuffed out by Perlman. Gavran clears the lines. Played out wide by Olguin. Poked forward, and again, it's a good step defensively by Noah Egan, but he does concede possession. The referee did stop the play for a moment here. Now Toronto get us back underway. Good hold-up play initially there from Altabelli. Cadavolo tried to get onto it, dispossessed. Toronto can recycle here. Stefanovic to Goulburn. And in the end, it is given away. And in the end, Glasgow could be able to run onto this here. Amari Glasgow gets into the penalty area. He is snuffed out. Good recovery run on this near side. It's going to go back to Toronto in the end. A couple of miscues from Toronto allowed Amari Glasgow to really get in behind. But crucial defending here at the back. You see there, Glasgow's actually played in by Toronto, and it's Adam Perlman who makes a lung-busting run and a half to snuff out the chance. Chicago win it back again. Nessie into the middle. It's helped on here, and Osorio tried to poke it through for Perpa. Big chance. Ostrom was in the penalty area as well. Can Toronto get out of their own end here with Chicago bearing down on them? That's poked through and one back. Perpa. Fleming the third. Places it out wide. Overlapping run here from Rochester. Rochester's ball in, too close to the goalkeeper, and Gavran collects. More good attacking sequences from Chicago. Still awaiting that vital opening goal, that end product that they're searching for. Maybe here, Rochester wins it right back. Looking for Hensey. Good touch from Fleming the third to recycle. Rochester tries again, and it's headed out of the penalty area, and once more Toronto clear their lines. But they can't keep possession. Iskovic recycles the possession for the visitors. More promise, though, more chances being created. Hensey now. Through for Perpa. Perpa for Glasgow. And Glasgow is dispossessed. Good step in again by Olguin. Now can Toronto counter? They can't. Noah Egan steps in. Osorio out wide. Ball is crossed in. It takes a deflection. Is there a handball in there? Yes, there is. It's a penalty. Referee points to the spot here. The cross came in. There was a ricochet on the way through. And the visitors will get a chance to take the lead here from the penalty spot. Ball is crossed in. It was on the turn there from Batiz. Trying to shield himself. He extended his arm. Referee points to the penalty spot here. And it is the same man that scored from the penalty spot in Bridgeview on the last match day, Harold Osorio, who will be tasked with taking the penalty here for Chicago. He has scored twice in his last 2 games. Can he do it once more for Chicago? Came over from El Salvador to chase his professional soccer dreams. Harold Osorio, can he convert here? He can. Brilliant penalty. Harold Osorio scores his 3rd goal in his last 3 games for Chicago. And the visitors are in front just past the half-an-hour mark. And boy, do they ever deserve it. They've been putting the pressure on Toronto from the off. And they do get the reward for that great pressure. As Harold Osorio once again converts from the penalty spot. Goalkeeper didn't know which way to go here. He was too late to react, Gavran. And the El Salvadorian converts. Chicago lead in Canada by a 1-0. Harold Osorio is now Chicago Fire FC 2's leading goal scorer with 3 goals. 3 goals in his last 3 games. Just what Coach Ludo would have wanted. They kept creating the chances, and they do find a goal here. Coach Ludo talked about Harold Osorio this week, left his family in El Salvador to come and chase this dream in America. Says he's becoming a more complete player week in and week out. Said he's even got better defensively just in the last few weeks in particular. And he scores again. Another chance into the middle here. Was there a handball? Shot does come in from Fleming the third, takes a ricochet and bounces out for a Chicago corner. They keep on pressing, the visitors. Osorio was in the mix again. Fleming the third takes on the shot. Rochester's ball in. There was a brief handball appeal in there. In the end, Fleming the third has his shot deflected out. Another set piece opportunity here for Chicago. Looking for a second. At the near post, it's headed out of the penalty area. Reynolds on a recycle. Slices a ball through, tries to win it back. And nearly does. Was that handled? Referee says no. Egan again sweeps it back up. Here's Perpa. Chipping it over the top for Ostrom, and it's going to trickle out of play. But more positive and vibrant attacking moments for Chicago. Certainly not satisfied with going one goal up. They were looking for another. And again, Rochester's been putting in some very dangerous balls these last few minutes. It was Ostrom's cross that led to the penalty against Batiz, who stuck an arm out in the corner of the penalty area. And then again, how cool and calm was Harold Osorio from the penalty spot. Never looked to be in doubt. Chicago again, Glasgow. Lovely ball for Hensey, and Gavron does hold on to it. Lovely curling ball into the penalty area. Again, putting Toronto under the cosh here. Reynolds picks it right back up. Nessie from Hensey. Osorio through the middle. Nessie tries to win it back and does win a free kick. Chicago trying to take it quickly. Toronto makes sure they do not. Now Luca Perpa is going to take this. I'm not sure this is quite in his range for a shot on goal here. But knowing him, he's got quite a few things up his sleeve here. Certainly plenty to aim at in the top part of the penalty area. It's exactly where he goes. The central header, in the end, is headed out of play for a goal kick. This is where Toronto need to try to find their way out of their own end here and stop the Chicago Storm at the moment. The boys from the Windy City, as the wind does pick up a little bit here in Toronto, funny enough, have had Toronto in the eye of the storm these first 35 minutes here. There have been a few moments where TFC2 have leaked out, but not many. Altabelli did put a shot on target earlier. Good turn in the middle of the park from Lucas Olguin. He wins a free kick. Gavron. As Toronto does try to take a breath, maybe get some possession here. They do win a throw. But to be fair, Johnny Cimini talked about this in his media availability earlier this week, and the fact that when they get possession, Toronto, they just haven't been able to put together a ton of passes consistently enough. And it's come back to bite them a few times this year. Revs 2, it certainly came up in the second half in particular. And to be fair, Coach Cimini did say, like, he felt the second half was pretty positive overall, except for how the result turned out. Good ball in from Glasgow here in the meantime. Perlman with another crucial step. It's out for a Chicago corner. More pressure from the visitors looking for a second goal here. Taken short. Ball is whipped in. Perlman does head it out of trouble, but not definitively. It's whipped back in. Rochester's header was redirected. Perpa picks up the pieces. Glasgow will recycle. About 8 minutes left in this first half. There's been plenty of chances, but it's been Chicago that have been the better of the two sides. And that goal from Osorio from the penalty spot was well warranted. And thoroughly deserved, it must be said. Here's Reynolds. Fleming the third. Switches the point of attack brilliantly. Rochester's making an overlapping run for Ostrom, who finds him. Into the middle for Perpa. Perpa nearly lost it. Toronto try to come out with it. They do. Catavolo tries to lead them into the attack. Assistant referee on the far side spots an infraction. It is a free kick for the hosts. Can TFC2 find their footing once more before the end of the half? That does come off of Egan. Altabelli was fighting for it for Toronto. Continue to move the ball down the field. Can they create a chance? It is poked on for Catavolo to run onto. Rochester steps in nicely for Chicago. Perlman wins this back for Toronto. Gets it in a pretty good position. Great cross into the middle as well. Altabelli gets it top of the penalty area. And in the end, it was always rising. Not a bad effort whatsoever from Julian Altabelli. Great run in from Olguin, who's had a very bright first half, it must be said, for Toronto. But Julian Altabelli wasn't able to put it on target. Still looking for his first next pro goal of the season. 7 different players for Toronto have assists this season, and 7 different players have scored for Toronto. You can argue scoring hasn't been their biggest concern. It's been the defensive side of the game that still needs to come along a bit. Bit of a talking to there from the referee. I think that was for Osorio. 5 and change left in the first half. Osorio's goal has Chicago out in front. Chicago had to come from behind against Huntsville. They fell behind at the end of the first half with a penalty conversion. Came back, Osorio equalized, and then they lost on kicks from the mark. Can Chicago pick up their first win since they beat Toronto back on March 31st? Chicago, he's on 9 points at the moment. Talked about what a win for Chicago could potentially do for them in the live table right now. If this result were to hold, Chicago would actually jump up 4 spots in the East from 10th to 6th. And again, there's still moving parts today on match day 9, but that would be a huge lift for this Chicago team, no question about that. Good hustle from Olguin here, but he can't keep it in play. It's a goal kick to the visitors. Miskovic. Further upfield for Nessie. Stefanovic has Gavran in support. Catavolo, good skill to keep it in. That is going to be a foul and a free kick going Toronto's way. I think that was Rochester who leaves a boot in there and is going to be booked for the challenge. Lamont Rochester sees yellow here. Cannavolo, who's been active at times for Toronto in this first half, got the worst of it. Confirmation of the booking for the Chicago Fire FC2 defender. Good tussle forward there. Chicago do win it back. Nessie gives chase. Perlman does well to elude his progress. Gavran under pressure.
Yellow card issued in the 43rd.
Gets some help from Zimmermansik. Altabelli nearly gives that away. Gets help from Olguin. Goulburn on the near side. And again, played back by Stefanovic. Gavran. Can Toronto keep the Chicago pressure at bay here? Lovely turn from Cannavolo. Can they break here? Great ball down the line for Batiz. Jesus Batiz to the byline. Nearly ran out of room, but Cannavolo picks up the pieces. Zimmermansik recycles it. Goulburn. Can Toronto gain some momentum here from the possession? This is Olguin. Olguin shoots. It's blocked by Egan. It falls for Altabelli, who's offside. And I'll tell you what, Miskovic denies him anyway. Wouldn't have counted with the flag being up. But Mihaljo Miskovic comes up with a brilliant save. It's a free kick because of the offside against Altabelli. Lovely little kick save there from Miskovic. But that's much better from the hosts. That's what Johnny Cimini's hoping for the rest of the way tonight. Glasgow's offside on the other end for Chicago as we approach the end of the first half. Headed down by Rochester. Perpa dispossessed by Čurić. Cannavolo lofts it out of play. And that'll likely take us to first half stoppage time. In for Fleming the third. I'm just told there's going to be one added minute at the end of this first half. Confirmation of that is now on your screen. Brief chance there for Chicago to potentially add on to the lead here, but it does go out of play. Goulburn laid it in for Faria. Čurić, out wide it goes. Olguin continued his run. Egan is able to get it and clear it. Chicago wanted a free kick there. It's not been given. Toronto play on. Cannavolo. Goulburn trying to keep it alive, but Toronto's forced back. Chicago win possession. Goulburn gets it right back and then gives it away. Maybe one last chance here for Chicago at the end of the half. It's Hensey getting into the penalty area, crossing it into the middle, and it's cut out defensively. And that is how the half ends in Toronto. Well, a late flurry from TFC2 sees them take a little bit of momentum in at the break. But a penalty conversion from Harold Osorio, his third goal in his last 3 games, has Chicago in front over TFC2 by a 1-0 at the half. Chicago really did dominate a good chunk of this first half, but it is TFC2 with a little bit of momentum here. The visitors do lead at the half by a 1-0. And we have highlights and stats from our first half coming up, but first, let's look back at the week that was in this week's edition of the Matchday Rewind.
With the close of match day 8, that means we are nearly 2 months into season number 2. Alongside Samara Perez, I'm Michelle Montaigne, recapping everything you need to know for match day 8.
In the East, Huntsville City FC closed out their 7-game road trip with a shootout win over Fire 2. HCFC will be searching for their first win of the season Friday and will look to make it a fitting one when they host Crown Legacy FC at their historic home opener. Jack Collison and company were able to spoil CLFC's home debut by beating them in a shootout. HCFC's inaugural match will take place at the newly renovated Wicks Family Field at Joe Davis Stadium. And our own Michelle Montaigne will be out there bringing you all the thrills. As for their rival, Crown Legacy FC is already equalizing records. Jose Tavares' squad tied Crew 2's 7-game winning streak record after a 2-1 win over Atlanta United 2. Vinicius Melo gave his team the early lead after getting on the end of a cross in the 4th minute. Then, in the 73rd, Marko Filipovic's strike from the right side of the box gave his team their 7th straight win and kept them as one of only 2 teams left unbeaten. Here's how the team celebrated their feat.
In the West, Rapids 2 moves into sole first place following their 1-0 defeat of Austin FC 2. Coming into this one, you knew Rapids 2 had the upper hand offensively, having scored a league-tied leading 20 goals. And on a day where offense was hard to come by, Marlon Vargas was the difference maker. He netted his 2nd goal of the season in the 51st minute, and following the match, described just how good that one felt.
Once, the ball came to me and I took my touch, I'm like, I'm going to shoot it. And when it went in, I was just not relieved, but I was like, okay, this is a start for our momentum going forward. And, once we got the ball, I feel like we kind of kept the ball a little bit more, but yet we were still defending in our own half. And I'm going to say it again, like how Eric said, it wasn't pretty, but, we got the 3 points and that's the most important.
That result puts Rapids 2 at 7-0-1 on the season, an identical record to Crown Legacy FC, with those 2 teams the only ones left unbeaten in the league. And closing us out, we have the game that closed out match day 8 with an 8-goal match. Tacoma Defiance hosted MNU FC 2 in one of the more wild games we've seen this season, with MNU FC 2 leading 3-1 in the second half. Defiance scored 3 goals in the span of 12 minutes to take a lead into stoppage time. But Minnesota United FC 2's Rory O'Driscoll strikes the equalizer in the first minute of stoppage time to send this one to a shootout. Back-to-back opening saves from Andrew Thomas gave Defiance the edge. They took the thriller 4-2 in kicks from the spot following the highest scoring match of the day.
We've got another exciting weekend coming up in match day 9. Michelle and I will be back here with everything that stood out.
Good stuff there. Sean St. Jacques back here with you in Toronto. Chicago leading Toronto by a Harold Osorio goal to nil at the half. More to come during this halftime break. But first, this week on our player profile series, Samara caught up with Colorado's Yosuke Hanya, MLS Next Pro Player of the Month for April.
Hey MLS Next Pro fans, we are back with a new edition of our Player Profile series. I'm Samara Perez. Joining us from Colorado Rapids 2 is our first Player of the Month in 2023, Yosuke Hanya. Yosuke, welcome and thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me today.
It falls centrally for Hanya, rebound, puts it away! Yosuke Hanya seals the deal.
Goes to Hanya, crawl to his left. Hanya looking for an equalizer. What a strike by Hanya, his 5th goal of the season.
Now, we first want to congratulate you on your recognition. Yosuke, after 7 weeks of play, you have just as many goals. How have you managed to score in every game you have played in so far?
Honestly, I think one of the big differences between last year and this year is that I think I put a lot of focuses on being in a right place at the right time. Whenever my teammates take a shot, I always follow up and get ready for the second ball. So I think that's something makes me dangerous in an attacking third. And then yeah, that's definitely something I'm focusing on this year.
And how does it feel to be recognized as this season's inaugural Player of the Month?
It feels amazing. I'm really happy that I got a Player of the Month in April. But at the same time, this is a 100% team effort. So I want to give a big shout out to my teammates and coaching staff for, this amazing start.
Now you touch on team effort. How would you describe the chemistry and the dynamics between your teammates and the coaching staff?
Everybody works so hard day in, day out, including coaching staff and the players. And we always make sure that we are on the same page every day. So yeah, I think the team has been in a great shape right now.
Yosuke, as we celebrate Asian Pacific Islander Month, talk to us about how proud you feel to be representing your native country in MLS Next Pro.
We have only a few people from my country in this league. So it means a lot to me to be representing my country here, also in this league. And then I just want to keep performing well for people back in Japan. And yeah, that's my mentality right now.
As you mentioned, there are only a few of you representing your homeland. Do you find that to be extra pressure, or does that motivate you?
I don't feel it as a pressure, more like a, like you said, motivation. Yeah, and always whenever I play or I score the goals after the game, I got a lot of messages from my friends and my families, people from Japan. So it motivates me definitely, and yeah, I just want to play for those people.
What do you miss most from home?
Maybe family. Yeah, they are still trying to come over at some point, but I miss my family. Yeah, hopefully I just want to score as many goals as I can for my family, and then make them happy. Yeah.
Larraz headed on and in. Yosuke Hanya. Ball in the box, and the fourth goal of the day. And Yosuke Hanya continues his scoring ways.
Now, Yosuke, what goals and aspirations do you have for this season in MLS Next Pro?
My goal is always to help the team win as many games as possible, and also help the team win the conference title at the end. At the same time, personally, I'm always trying to get to the first team. That's my personal goal for this year. But yeah, right now I just want to focus on what I can do with the second team, and then I want to keep performing well, keep scoring goals for the Rapids too. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Well, Yosuke, congratulations once again. We can't wait to see what more this season has in store for you.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for kicking it with us. I'm Samara Perez. We'll see you back here soon.
Sean St. Jacques back here with you. 1-0 Chicago at the half here in Toronto as we take a look ahead to match day 10 in MLS Next Pro. Two games want to highlight for you. TFC 2 go to play New York City FC 2 on Thursday at 7 p.m. That's a big game. But at that same time, in that same time slot on Thursday, Revs 2 take on Columbus Crew 2 as well. It's a really strong slate on Thursday. Friday's not too shabby either as Huntsville host New York Red Bulls 2. We'll take one more break, highlights and stats, and then the second half between Toronto and Chicago are next. Sean St. Jacques back here with you. Let's jump into the halftime highlights between TFC 2 and Chicago Fire FC 2. It really was Chicago that put the early pressure on Toronto. Good save there from Luka Gavran on a shot that came in from Harold Osorio. But Toronto did have some chances as well. Julian Altobelli here forcing a save out of Miskovic as well. Down to his right, able to make the save. A couple of moments like that for Toronto in the first half. This was a lovely weaving run from Jordan Faria. Maybe a penalty appeal in there. It was not given by the referee. We ended up playing on. And then Chicago took the onus once more. Great ball into the middle here. Batiz had it deflect off of his hand. Referee pointed to the spot for a penalty. And Harold Osorio scored his third goal in his last 3 games with a very precise penalty to give Chicago the lead going in to the halftime break. Here are the halftime stats for you. Shots on target is a slight edge for Chicago, but it's the total shots and possession where you see how Chicago was dominant for a good chunk of the first half. Last 5 minutes or so, though, TFC2 gained a little bit of momentum. We'll see if they can carry that in to the second half. If Chicago can hold on to this result, they could jump up to 6th place potentially in the Eastern Conference. That would be a massive result for them. Harold Osorio has them on the right path, looking to beat TFC2 for the second time in as many games this season. Talked about how Chicago have won 4 of the last 5, potentially if they win tonight, against TFC2 in the head-to-head all-time. And we will see if that holds. For TFC2, can they build off the momentum that we saw at the end of the first half? We saw some flurries from them in the first 20 minutes. Then it was all Chicago for another 20 after they were pretty good as well in the first 10 minutes or 15 minutes. But then it really was Toronto that finally gained a bit of a foothold in the match. We'll see if that continues into the second half. Does look like Toronto has made a couple of changes. I did see Theo Ringalpilis come on. We'll confirm those changes for you in just a second. Teams will switch sides for the start of the second half here on MLSnextpro.com. Chicago is leading by a goal to nil.
He is replaced by number 92, Theo Ringalpilis.
Toronto kick us off, and we are off and running in the second half with Chicago in front. For Chicago, it does look like Eric Leonard has come on at the half, scored against Toronto on match day 2 when these two got together. Eric Leonard, one of the leaders on Coach Tayondie's bench tonight, gets into the squad, gets onto the field at the start of this second half. Theo Ringalpilis is on as well. We'll see how those changes impact the game in the second half as Nessie trying to get in behind here. Ringalpilis is there defensively. Cross does come in. The header is just wide of the goal from Billy Hensey. Ostrom placing a wonderful ball. And then the header didn't get on target. Good cross there, was cleared away. Brief moment just to confirm the substitutions once more for you. Both teams made one change. Rohan Goulburn came off. Theo Ringalpilis, as we mentioned, came on. Lamont Rochester, who was on a yellow card for Chicago, he made way. We talked about the leadership of Eric Leonard coming on for Chicago at the start of the second half. And again, Chicago on the front foot, like they were for about 40 minutes in the first half, just about. There were some brief spurts of quality from Toronto, but no end product. Lovely ball down the line here. Can Chicago add on to their lead? Glasgow joins in. Ball is to the byline. It's going to trickle out of play for a goal kick with Perpa in pursuit. And Sean St. Jacques here with you, MLSNextPro.com. Toronto trying to battle their way out of the basement of the Eastern Conference. Chicago could jump up quite a few spots if they win. Lovely ball in from Osorio here. Nessie scores! Michael Nessie doubles Chicago's advantage inside of 3 minutes at the start of the second half. It's his first MLS Next Pro goal of the season. Lovely work from Harold Osorio. And Chicago lead by 2-0. Lovely roll of the ball there. And it's a sparkling finish. Osorio to Nessie, one goal scorer feeds the other. And Coach Ludo's group pick up right where they left off. It is a delectable finish. And the boys from Bridgeview are in complete command now. Now, Michael Nessie has been someone who's been getting more and more playing time up front, along with Billy Hensey of late. And like Coach Ludo talked to us about earlier this week, keep creating the chances. The goals are going to come. They've gotten a goal from the penalty spot, and they've got a goal from open play. And now it's the same scoreline. Saw Chicago beat Toronto back in March. And Johnny Cimini's group fight their way back. Chicago do let this one slip through the cracks here. It's going to be a Toronto corner. Maybe a chance for TFC2 to quickly respond here. It's a good ball whipped into the back post. Altobelli scores! Lovely volley off the set piece. And Toronto do reply very swiftly here. It's 2-1, just like that. First Next Pro goal for Julian Altobelli. Just the response the host would have been hoping for. It's a magnificent finish from close range, but Altobelli had to keep it down enough to keep it in the goal. He did just that. And Chicago's 2-goal advantage is cut in half. Well, these two are very good attacking sides. This could be a very entertaining half as this stays in play off the corner flag for Nessie. Brilliant finish from Altobelli. This sends Glasgow further back. Just when Chicago were starting to really take control of the game again, Toronto find the back of the net. And we could be in store for a very exhilarating second half here now. Chicago will get the throw. Good run from Glasgow, deflected. Fleming the third wins it back. Glasgow stays down on the far side. Chicago wins the throw. Glasgow will be looked at. Well, Omari Glasgow, who has scored this season for Chicago, is always one of the bright spots when Coach Ludo's side take the field. Good to see that he was quickly evaluated and is able to continue. Leonard sends it back. Sent forward by Miskovic. Charlie Ostrom is sent back. The next goal in this game could be very paramount to deciding the outcome. Looked like Chicago, when they scored their second goal, about to really take the bull by the horns here. The set piece conversion, lovely finish from Julian Altobelli, has given Toronto new life once more. Good save by Glasgow on this far side. Hensey's through the middle. Hensey gets it back out wide. Glasgow in the middle again. It's snuffed out with two white shirts at the back end looking for it. Was chipped in by Reynolds. Osorio, who scored the first Chicago goal, picks it up. He's assisted on the second one. Isn't able to get Charlie Ostrom into the play here. Good fight forward on this near side. Referee blows the whistle. Looks like it's going to be a free kick for Toronto. Two first-time Next Pro goal scorers go back-to-back, one for each side here in the second half. Baptiste, who gave away the penalty in the first half, will be kicked out there at Glasgow on his way down. Can't be doing that. Get yourself into trouble there. Was lifted forward for Baptiste on this far side. First touch gets him towards the penalty area. He goes down. Big appeals from Toronto here for a penalty. Referee sees nothing wrong with it. We play on. Toronto win it right back. Baptiste is still in the penalty area. And Cannavolo runs out of room, shepherded out by Leonard. It's a goal kick. Well, 3 or 4 Toronto players gave a glance over to the referee there. Referee Mario Elias says not enough. Nessie. Osorio, the two goal scorers, linking up for Chicago. Glasgow heads it back for Reynolds. Glasgow again. This is Luca Perpa. Glasgow. Two of the Chicago playmakers trying to assess the situation. Leonard. He's going to be forced back to Miskovic. Since Altobelli's goal went in, seen a little bit more confidence from Toronto. Can they come back from 2 goals down, just like New England did against them on the last match day? Toronto were 2-0 up. They lost 3-2 against Revs 2. Can they do the same thing to Chicago this time? Flip the script. Chicago's 2-goal lead lasted for 2 minutes.
Substitutions for Chicago Fire.
Chicago is going to make a couple of changes here. It's going to be 2 attacking substitutions here. Michael Nessie, who just scored a few minutes ago, he comes off. Alex Moniz is going to come on. Victor Becerra is going to come on. Billy Hensey comes off. Double change up top for the visitors. Coach Ludo talked about one of the helpful parts about getting more clinical in front of goal is getting Victor Becerra back from injury. He's such an important piece, can really provide us a spark in the attack. We certainly plan to come on here. Nessie had just scored, of course, early in this half, but now it's Becerra's turn. Alex Moniz certainly capable of finding the back of the net as well. This is headed for Osorio. Moniz picks it up. Moniz trying to fight his way into the penalty area. Headed in by Fleming III, dealt with by Toronto. Glasgow and Reynolds combined to pick up the pieces. Fleming III under some pressure. Leonard has 3 on him, but has Reynolds in support. Coach Ludo talked about with goal scoring, sometimes it's a mind game. As confidence will come when you score goals. Both teams have felt that confidence course through them in this second half. Faria for Toronto. Ogwin finds him again. Faria had a nice weaving run in the first half. Gets the ball back, Faria. Faria shoots! And it flashes wide of the post. Now, Catavolo was in the penalty area. He couldn't get a touch on it either. Big chance to equalize here. Pillis put it right back into Faria's path, and Catavolo comes oh so close there from getting a touch. And the hosts are nearly able to get back on level terms. Nice little dummy by Glasgow. Monis helps him out. Reynolds is fouled. Free kick. The last 32 minutes plus here are poised to be very exciting. Both teams showing you that they are certainly capable of adding on to their tallies. And how big is Altobelli's goal been for Toronto's confidence? These last 8 minutes or so totally changed the complexion of the game. High boot there from Glasgow, free kick for the hosts. And Toronto fight their way back. Faria. Perlman. Free kick, one. And Churic. Taken from the correct spot. Simmermansik. Churic restarts the play. Lovely little move there from Batiste. He slides it through. Big chance! And it is deflected out of play by Egan. As Jordan Faria again has a chance here to equalize. Gets in the right place, couple of step overs. Good block by Noah Egan on the back end. And it's a corner for Toronto, who are now oozing confidence. Will it materialize in an equalizing goal? Ball is played in, good communication by Chicago in the penalty area. Miskovic is able to come up with it. Any outlets here for Chicago? Ball is switched to Monis. And Monis is in an offside position. Well, Coach Ludo and his staff completely disagree with the decision here. I think they might have a case for that. Monis, when the ball was kicked, looked like he was in an offside position. Chicago don't get the call. And Toronto regained possession. Big half an hour still to play here. Good step in again by Noah Egan for Chicago. Ostrom. All the way back for Egan. Miskovic resets. Still anyone's game here. Could potentially head back to kicks from the mark again for Chicago. It's a place where they've had some really tough moments and games recently. Long way to go, however. Is that a handball against Monis? Yes, it is. Free kick. Here comes Toronto. Catavolo tries to leave it for Simmermansik. Churic. The goal scorer, Altobelli. And the ball into the middle from Faria is blocked. Faria regains possession. Churic. He's become more active. Stefanovic. Gavran sends it forward to nobody in particular in a red shirt. Miskovic resets. Chance for these two to slightly settle the pace down, but From a neutral's perspective, it's been thrilling to watch. Big chances on either end. And Toronto, since the goals gone in, have been the better of the two sides. Johnny Cimini's group fighting with all they have here. Try and get back in a position to get a result. Haven't won since May 7th, and they only have one win and one draw this season. It's a foul, and it's a free kick in front of Johnny Cimini's technical area. Oh, a yellow card. He's going to come out here for Noah Egan, it appears. I think for stopping the free kick from being taken. Chicago see Egan get booked. TFC2 go back to work. Faria. Now some pressure from Altabelli on Egan. Monis fighting for it with Rigapilis. Stefanovic plays it forward. Centering pass for Altabelli is cut out. Olguin. Olguin again, and Chicago do clear it. Not definitively though. Juric on the recycle gets it back. Chicago trying to fight their way out of their own end. Rigapilis, Olguin, Faria. Lovely ball. Rigapilis into the middle. Altabelli equalizes. It's a brace for Julian Altabelli. And Toronto, from 2-0 down, are level. It's 2 goals apiece. Great resolve from the hosts here. Altabelli has both goals. Toronto have been knocking on the door all half. It's parried out by Miskovic. Julian Altabelli in the right place at the right time, and it's 2 each. How about this from Toronto? They had it done to them by Revs 2 on the last match day. They flipped the script on Chicago this time. 2-0 down at the start of the second half. They've clawed it back here to 2-2. Can they fully complete it here? Cadavolo still goes down. Referee says nothing wrong. Batiz trying to continue. Reynolds dispossesses him. It's all Toronto now all of a sudden. Batiz again. He goes down. It's a free kick. Well, the momentum has completely shifted here. Here's the play with Cadavolo going down. Maybe not enough there for a penalty. And then TFC2 completely flipping the script. They continue to fight on. They have a set piece opportunity here. Trying to fully complete the turnaround. Well, before today, Julian Altabelli hadn't scored in Next Pro this season. He has both of Toronto's goals. Can the hosts take the lead for the first time? From the free kick, it's whipped in right to Miskovic, who punches it out of the penalty area, and then it's a high challenge on a header. Rigapilis gives away a free kick. And a Chicago player, he's still down here on the back end. Well, it was hit in with quite a bit of power. Miskovic was well positioned to punch it out of trouble, and it's Monis who got the wrong end of that and is currently being evaluated by the Chicago medical staff here. See if Monis will have to be further evaluated or if he's allowed to continue. Referee has pointed to the near touchline, which means Monis might need further attention. We will see. If he does, and it's not a concussion, well, this will be gone for a few minutes here for Chicago, right when Toronto are in the ascendancy. And Monis looks to be getting ready to come back on. On that near side, Alec Diaz is getting ready for Toronto. We were told about his sub a few minutes ago. He hasn't had a chance to come on yet, so we'll await confirmation on that. And Toronto win it back again here. Simmermansik, and there's numbers here for the host. Simmermansik shoots! It nearly falls for Altobelli on the ricochet again, but he couldn't get on top of it. What a chance for Toronto to fully turn the game on its head. Čurić. Well, we said earlier Toronto was in the eye of the storm. It's been completely shifted here. Lovely ball in behind Faria. Across the middle. Big chance. It's in. Toronto have done it. They've completely flipped the game on its head. Chicago appeal that there should have been a foul or something in the buildup. But at the moment, it's a Julian Altobelli goal. It's a Julian Altobelli hat trick. It's a 3-2 lead for Toronto, or is it? No, handball has been given here. It's been brought back. That's what Chicago were appealing for, that there was handball in the buildup. We get the luxury of another look. It's just tremendous attacking play again from Toronto here. Was there a collision there? But no, it's the sequence at the end. Faria's ball into the middle. And it was, it maybe came off of Altobelli when he touched it up to himself to volley it. Goal does not count. Oh, what a moment it would have been for Julian Altobelli. In the end, it doesn't count. Toronto finally makes their substitution. Alec Diaz is on for Jordan Faria. What a sequence he's had. What a few minutes Jordan Faria's had. He does exit here for Alec Diaz. Oh, and Toronto for a moment thought they had done it. Still 20 minutes left. But the Altobelli hat trick, not to be at the moment. Chance for Chicago on the other end. And the shot from Victor Pereira is flashed wide of the goal. Now, anyone's game now. Pereira coming back from an injury nearly reestablishes Chicago's lead, and with 20 minutes left, both teams still have every chance in the world at snatching all 3 points. Toronto have been humming the last 20 minutes. Can they keep it going? Or are Chicago going to reestablish the dominance that we saw for so long in the first half at the beginning of the second half? Once again, Toronto swarming. They win it back. Perlman sliding it through. Cadavolo goes for goal, blocked by Leonard. Cadavolo gets it back. Perlman to the near side, Diaz. Alec Diaz just came on. Ball out wide for Batiz. Cadavolo. Simmermansik leaves it off. Toronto continue to probe. Perlman. Ringopoulos. Olguin. Nice turn into space there. Out wide from Simmermansik. Ringopoulos is fouled. Free kick for Toronto. Ostrom was away. The hosts have a set piece. Ringopoulos wastes no time in taking it. Stefanovic out wide. Batiz down the line on the far side. Swarmed by Reynolds and Glasgow. It's a Toronto throw. Oh, can one of these two find a winning goal, a winning moment? Or is Chicago going to see the same fate once again, having to go to kicks from the mark? This is headed into the path of Cadavolo, but in the same path as Miskovic. Well, Chicago had a 1-0 lead at the half. Second half goal very early in the second half goal from Michael Nessie gave Chicago a 2-0 lead. Looked like they were going to go on from there and handle their business. But moments later, Julian Altobelli scored to make it 2-1. 15 minutes later, he equalized. He nearly won the game. Or I should say not won the game, but nearly gave Toronto the lead with a hat-trick goal a few moments ago, but it was ruled out for a handball inside the penalty area. And there's 17 minutes left for someone to find that winning moment. 3 points that could be so crucial for both of these teams, whoever gets it. And Chicago rekindle the heat that they brought on Toronto in the first half as Becerra is slammed down. Free kick for Chicago. Osorio will take the set piece. Osorio assisted Nessie on Chicago's second. Whips in a good ball. Gavran is there to make the catch. It's so funny how soccer can work from time to time. It was Toronto that were in this position last time out. They were 2-0 up. They lost it 3-2. They were 2-0 down, it's 2-2. Can they find their first lead of the game? They got Piles into the penalty area. Falls for a chance maybe for Simmermansek, who got a shot on target earlier. Churic into the middle. Baptiste putting pressure on Reynolds. Cadavolo, lovely touch. Lovely turn. It's Pelasgo that stays with it nicely there. Wins back possession for the visitors. Reynolds playing it down the line for Moniz. Perlman's all over him. They grab each other by the shirt. Toronto can recycle it all the way back to Luka Gavran. Really has been an enthralling contest here in Toronto. And there's promises to be more to come. The last 5 minutes are any indication. Smashed forward by Gavran. Into the path of Baptiste. It's working out rather nicely for Toronto. Cadavolo. Out wide, Baptiste. Cadavolo again. Churic trying to find a teammate towards the top of the penalty area. Miskovic from Leonard clears, but only as far as Ringo Piles. Perlman looks to switch the point of attack. Baptiste is coming in. He's able to control it. It is deflected out. It is a Toronto corner with 14 minutes just about of the 90 left. Toronto were 2-0 down. Can they fully come from behind? They had a goal chalked off for handball against Altobelli, who looked to have scored a hat-trick, but it was ruled out. He's still on a hat-trick. It's played short for Diaz. Cadavolo. Ball is whipped in to the back post. Altobelli had a lovely volley to score his first goal off a corner. This time he was not able to redirect it on target. Had the right idea, actually didn't know quite where the goal was, frankly. Altobelli. Miskovic. Baptiste has been in a good run of form for Toronto. Churic for Olguin. And got Piles down the line. Diaz. Still Alec Diaz. Olguin again. Toronto, since about the 50th minute, have been on top in this game. Can they make it stand up for 3 points tonight? Remember, Chicago won the first meeting. This season, they've won 3 out of 4 against Toronto in the history between these two clubs. And Toronto, as they've done in this second half, flipped the script and changed the tide. Perlman. Olguin. Lovely skill. As Diaz in support. Maybe waited a tick too long to find him. Out of play it goes for a Chicago throw. Although Toronto didn't like the call. Egan, who is on a yellow card, that is worth keeping in mind as the game goes on here. All the way back it goes. Can Chicago find it again after they were so good in the first half and at the start of the second? The last nearly half an hour of the game has been Toronto's game. They've totally taken over. And it's been Julian Altobelli that's done the business for them. Altobelli runs onto this. Able to slip it through for Alec Diaz. He scores! It's a magnificent finish. And with 10 minutes left, Toronto have indeed flipped the script on Chicago here. From 2-0 down, they lead by 3 goals to 2. Second goal of the season for Alec Diaz. Altobelli has an assist and 2 goals tonight. Johnny Cimini's group with incredible resolve here. Down in the 50th minute by 2 goals to 0. They've come storming back, Toronto. And after being denied their lead earlier, they are firmly ahead now by 3 goals to 2. It's a stunning turnaround here. And with 10 minutes left, Chicago have to do it all again. It's incredible. I'll talk about pushing the right buttons in this second half for Johnny Cimini. And his team have responded brilliantly after they were up 2-0 against Refs 2 on the last match day. They let it slip away. They've totally changed the tide here tonight. They were 2-0 down. They're 3-2 up. It really is a remarkable second half here from the team currently at the bottom of the Eastern Conference. Well, even Coach Ludo said it this week. Toronto tends to improve as the season goes on. Seems like they've gone through a transformation in the second half alone tonight. But does Chicago have a reply? Great ball in from Ostrom. Perlman is able to clear the lines here for Toronto. There's still 9 minutes left. It's far from over. Plenty can still happen here. Can Chicago fight their way back? Chicago were down a goal against Huntsville on the last match day. They did come back. Can they do it again? Mones, lovely turn. Tries to find Glasgow, who was in support. Juric steps in nicely, wins a free kick. Well, if this result were to hold, Chicago would stay right where they started the day in 10th. TFC 2 would get within a point of FC Cincinnati 2 in 12th. And would get within 2 points of Chicago in 10th. It would really change the trajectory at the bottom of the table. If we've learned anything from Toronto's exploits, not only in Next Pro, but in USL League One, you never count them out. That has showed once again tonight. Osorio, who got it started for Chicago so long ago, it feels like now, from the penalty spot. To clear the lines, but it's one back by Alec Diaz. And he sends it right down the middle. Miskovic has no trouble with it. And Chicago again try to build. Sees Luka Perpa dispossessed. Zimmermansik for Diaz. Altobelli, who's still on a hat trick here for Toronto, gets on the end of it. Pillis here is dragged down. Assistant referee waves the flag. It is a foul and a free kick for Toronto. It hasn't been quite a tale of two halves, but we could just say this. The first 50 minutes were all Chicago. They scored twice, looked like they were going to score more. TFC2 only had a few opportunities during that stretch, but boy, have the last 33 minutes completely changed the trajectory of the match. In from Altobelli, caught from Miskovic in the end. Still 6 minutes left for Chicago to salvage a point. And have to deal with kicks from the mark yet again. They can't stay out of it at the moment, Chicago. Perpa. Can he be one of Chicago's playmakers once again? Fleming the third out wide for Glasgow. This is Justin Reynolds. Noah Egan. Charlie Ostrom, and again. Fleming the third, flaring it out wide for Amari Glasgow. Glasgow's ball in, takes a deflection. Quarter kick for Chicago. Just over 5 minutes left of the 90. And it does appear that Chicago are getting ready some changes here. Just before the corner is to be taken. Andreas Uland and Noah Hernandez are going to come on here. Richard Fleming III and Justin Reynolds are going to come off here. It is a double change for Coach Ludo's boys. Just before the set piece. Ball is whipped in. Oh, it was a chance at the back post for Egan. Ricochets for Leonard. It's out for another corner off the goalkeeper, Gavran. Oh, that could have gone anywhere off the initial ricochet. It was a lovely ball in. It was Leonard's volley initially. Leonard gets a second chance. Gavran deflects it out for this corner at the near post. And again, it is headed and then cleared out of play. Can Toronto stand up to another Chicago onslaught here at the end? Andreas Uland picks it up, the former Virginia Cavalier star in college. Third-round pick by New England in this year's Super Draft. Ostrom able to play it in behind. It's a great ball across from Noah Hernandez, the substitute that just came on. Toronto do clear it. Miskovic comes on to help it along for Eric Leonard. Here's Osorio. Near side, Ostrom. Can Chicago get this back level once again? Just been one of those nights here in Toronto where Next Pro action just takes it up a notch. Leonard. Egan. Ostrom down the line. Egan gets on the end of it. Egan's ball in is decent. Good fall for Hernandez. Moniz. Oh, it's a decent effort from the outskirts of the penalty area. Osorio took aim. It was a bit ambitious, but it was well struck. Not able to put it on target, however, in the end. And it's a goal kick. Well, the last time Toronto won was 2 weeks ago. It's their only win of the season, 3-0 here against FC Cincinnati 2. Can they get a crucial second victory here against the team that beat them back on match day 2 in Illinois? They have 2 minutes plus potentially some stoppage time to see it out. That's a foul and a free kick against Batiz. And I think Batiz has seen yellow here for Toronto for the challenge. I believe that is the first yellow a Toronto player has seen tonight. There's been 2 for Chicago. Rochester, who's since been substituted, and Noah Egan as well. Egan flaring it to the far side. Glasgow's touch. Keeps it in, but Batiz regains possession. As we see Toronto win a throw-in and we enter the 90th minute. We're just told there is going to be a decent chunk of stoppage. We'll wait confirmation on exactly how many. So we could still have a couple more twists and turns in store for us here tonight. Those just tuning in on MLSNextPro.com. What a match it's been. Chicago were 2-0 up with 40 minutes to play. Toronto have completely turned the game on its head and have come from behind to take a 3-2 lead. But can Chicago find their way back? Cross into the middle there is deflected. Catavolo will just give possession back in the end here to Chicago. Leonard. Glasgow. Good centering pass. Hernandez, the substitute, as we enter the 4 added minutes at the end of this game. Is there a late twist, one way or the other, still in store for us here? Can Toronto pick up a huge, huge victory here, or will Chicago send us yet again to kicks from the spot? Glasgow's ball in. Noah Hernandez has his shot blocked. Osorio trying to find his way in. Leonard trying to poke it through. He goes down. Chicago appealing on the edge of the penalty area. Referee looks away from it. Leonard is slow to get up. I think we heard even a few appeals from the Chicago technical area there. Wasn't sure if it was in the penalty area, but they were certainly looking for a foul. Moniz. And he creates something for the visitors here. Ostrom. Great ball in behind for Hernandez. And Hernandez is blocked. It's a Chicago corner with just under 3 minutes left. Toronto is going to make a change here. We're told it's going to be Matthew Catavolo who's coming off. It is what is going to occur here. And Kundai Mwoko is going to replace him here in the dying embers. From the corner. Goalkeeper spills it! And Moniz nearly gets on the end of it. Oh my, Kavran did just enough there. Glasgow on the recycle. Whips it back into the mixer. And the header is out of play from Perpa for a goal kick. Well, Luka Kavran wasn't exactly convincing here. Drops it into a very dangerous area. But Perlman helps him on the back end to get it out of trouble. And Toronto have 2 more minutes to see this out. Battle for it in the midfield. Toronto have it in possession. Batiz boots it into the corner. It is a throw-in for Chicago. They do have to take it quickly here. Just under a minute and a half left for Chicago to try and salvage a draw here. Ball is sent forward. Ball is flicked forward. Can Chicago get this back up the other end? A minute left of injury time. Ball is flared forward by Glasgow. Oh, it's helped on towards the goalkeeper. And Luka Gavran holds on to it for dear life for Toronto. With 45 seconds left. Is that going to be Chicago's last chance? Gavran sends it forward. There was a collision away from the ball. Whistle does go. It appears it's going to be a Chicago free kick, but there isn't a ton of time left to take it. Goalkeeper's going to come forward here. There's 20 seconds for Chicago to try and save themselves a point. Miskovic plays it ahead. Last roll of the dice here for Chicago. Egan into the mixer. It's headed centrally and then helped on out of the penalty area. Cleared upfield and out of play for a throw. Toronto want the whistle. There's been 4 minutes of added time that have come and gone here. Chicago get the ball back into play. Is there one last chance left for the visitors? Egan plays it forward. Sent back in to Leonard. Ostrom chopping it onto his right. Crossing it into the middle. Headed down. Monis is blocked. And that is it. Toronto does it. Incredible resolve from TFC2. They come back from 2-0 down. And they beat Chicago by 3-2. Chicago took that 2-goal lead with 40 minutes of the game remaining. But Julian Altobelli's brace and Alec Diaz's winning goal sees Johnny Cimini's side win for the first time since May 7th and just the second time this season. They're up to 7 points in the East. They get revenge on Chicago for the loss in Bridgeview back in March. Could that be the moment that sees TFC2 turn a corner this season? They tend to do that in their club's history. This could be a big, big result for them. For Chicago, the winless run does go on. They still haven't won since they beat Toronto at the end of March. We'll see if they can finally get a win in their next match. Tonight's man of the match is going to be Julian Altobelli of TFC2. It's presented by Adidas. He's the one that was the spark in the second half, scored the 2 goals that equalized the game, and got the assist on the Alec Diaz winning goal as well. He did score a 3rd goal, Julian Altobelli, but it was ruled out for a handball inside of the penalty area. Hadn't scored this season in Next Pro. He scores 2 and sets up the winning goal in the end for Toronto as they beat Chicago by 3-2. Another tremendous encounter in the Eastern Conference of MLS Next Pro tonight. It really was. Chicago were 2-0 up. TFC2 come back and they win it by 3-2. For our entire MLS Next Pro broadcast crew, I am Sean St. Jacques. Final score here, TFC2 win it by 3-2 over Chicago. Don't forget you can watch MLS Next Pro all season long on MLS Season Pass on Apple TV and MLSNextPro.com. Good night, everybody, from Toronto.
This copyrighted broadcast of MLS Next Pro may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcasted without the express written consent of Major League Soccer.